George Washington dies on December 14th, at the age of 67, at Mount Vernon. He was buried at Mount Vernon. Let's travel back to 1789, to see Washington's health and death, why the cause of death made him sick, and why Washington died. On December 12, 1789, George Washington was out supervising farming activities. The weather shifted from light snow to hail and then rain. It is not sure if George Washington changed his wet clothing or not. Despite feeling unwell, Washington went to the Hanging Woods area on the east side of the mansion. Martha, his wife, observed he had a sore throat. His wife called a Dr. James Craik to come check on him. The doctor took blood from George Washington and checked on him and determined that he was in bad condition. George Washington told the doctor,
"I find I am going. My breath cannot last long. I believed from the first that the disorder would prove fatal. Do you arrange and record all my late military letters and papers? Arrange my accounts and settle my books, as you know more about them than anyone else, and let Mr. Rawlins finish recording my other letters which he has begun. 'Tis well."
George Washington died in his home with his wife at his feet and family near him. He was 67-year-old. Martha insisted on a simple funeral and burial at Mount Vernon. However, across the country, there were tributes to George Washington. People felt a terrible loss. It almost seemed impossible to think of the young United States without George Washington. George Washington was buried at Mount Vernon. Right away, Congress began talking of building a monument to him. No building in Washington, D.C., can be taller than the Washington Monument, which was finished in 1880. And the national holiday in February celebrates George Washington's birthday. The faces carved on Mount Rushmore in South Dakota were the work of Gutzon Borglum and took 14 years to complete. George Washington is so famous that sometimes he seems more like a monument than a flesh and blood man. We think of him as the face on dollar bills and quarters. But George Washington continues to be remembered as a boy who had a cold and bossy mother, a great athlete and horseback rider, and the very first president of the brand new United States.